Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by SurveyMonkey. Go to try.surveymonkey.com/twist and sign up for a free trial. And MailChimp. Manage lists with up to 2,000 subscribers and send 12,000 emails per month for free with MailChimp.
Hey everybody, it's Friday, so it's our news roundtable. Welcome to This Week in Startups. We've got an amazing roundup. Keith Richman, the CEO and founder of Break.com, is with me. Paige Craig of the amazing BetterWorks, hottest startup in Los Angeles, according to many. And Lon Harris from Ranker.com, the awesome Ranker.com, is going to read the news. We've got a lot to discuss. Please stick with us. Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. You know the program, we're 200 episodes in, but if you're new to the program, let me explain what we do here. I am a serial entrepreneur. I bring on other entrepreneurs, sometimes serial, sometimes first-time entrepreneurs, and we discuss either news or their entrepreneurial story, sometimes a mix of both. Why do we do this? So we can all learn from each other. We can all become better entrepreneurs. We can all take over the world and be part of the 1%. With me today, an amazing roundtable. Immediately to my left, my good friend Keith Richman. How are you doing?
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me again.
You were one of the first guests on the program.
I was, yeah.
Of course, you run Break.com, which from what I understand, you have 200 people now?
We're about 230 people.
It's unbelievable.
Right now we have a bunch of other web sites we operate.
Yeah, what are the other ones?
As well as an extending network. Made Man, one of the top men's lifestyle sites. Holy Taco humor site.
Yeah.
Caged Potato Mixed Martial Arts.
So essentially, it's Maxim magazine for the web. You've got
depending on the property. It's more of a men's publishing company. It's more like a Hearst. But then we also add video, so we create a lot. We create about 50 to 100 videos a month.
When you were on the program 2 years ago, I think you had 50 employees.
I think that's about right.
Wow, 100 and almost 200 more employees in just those 2 years. Yep. Amazing story at Break.com. Thank you for coming back on the program. To my right, Paige Craig, serial entrepreneur, angel investor. You said you're not going to do any more angel investing, but I keep seeing your name coming up. Are you or are you not angel investing?
I am angel investing if it's complementary to BetterWorks. And occasionally if there's an amazing, I mean ultimately amazing deal,
right? I
will listen and I may perhaps invest.
So essentially, like Jay-Z, you lied that you were going into retirement and then came right back out and started investing. Again, you're an addict, aren't you?
I am addicted, yes.
You're addicted to entrepreneurship. And of course, you spent a good deal of time in the military.
I did, Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. And what do I say, Semper Fi? Semper Fi?
You can say Semper Fi if you think you can hold it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll say thank you to my friends who say Semper Fi. You did some tours?
I was in Iraq, Afghanistan, Lebanon, Pakistan, and all the fun party spots.
Ironically, next to you, of course, is Lon Harris of Ranker.com. Lon has been in no wars, nor would he go, ever.
No.
Lon,
I'm not even like a food fight. I tend to avoid anything.
If somebody... You actually recommended him, and he helped do some early content.
I did some early
Well, of course, Lon Harris, one of my oldest friends here in Los Angeles, came to work for me directly from the video store.
Yes, January 07.
January 07, it's 5 years ago, and boy, we had a great time working together, learned a lot.
We did.
And you have grown into such an amazing executive. It's so great to see you leading an awesome company like Ranker.com.
Well, in a leadership position, not leading the company.
Let's face it, I mean, you're the main guy. You are making the decisions, you're pulling the shots,
That's what Clark says.
and the product is fantastic.
Clark feels strongly about just putting me in charge. He's on vacation. He's on a beach.
And you did help Paige in the early days.
I did some work for DocStock too, MySpace in the interim.
Amazing. One of the great Mahalo alumni out there in the field. And hey, who's my first advertiser sponsor, by the way?
Let's see.
Oh, there we go. Oh, is it SurveyMonkey? Ah, fantastic. That's not even like doing an ad. Hey, I hosted a conference here at Mahalo yesterday. And this would be when you go on the one shot of me. This should be the host shot right now. Host shot.
There we go.
Boom. Hey, there we go. I think the guy on the TriCaster is a little bit drunk. Listen, SurveyMonkey, we were all here until 10 o'clock last night. Last night at Mahalo, we did an in-person learning class. I taught a class on master social media. Now, when you do a class like that and you have an event, you immediately... The first thing you do as the event organizer is say, hey, how did it go, right? You want to know what people thought of the event. And so I got a little bit of survey, but nobody tells me the truth, right? They're just going to glad handle you. So today we send out a SurveyMonkey, and while we're all debating what should we put in the SurveyMonkey, they have a bunch of questions already written for you. So you know how hard it is to write a good demographic question like
Sure.
They write it for you. How much do you value this X, this product, and they say you highly valued, moderately valued, all that kind of stuff. How much would you pay for it? And we can put together these SurveyMonkeys in just minutes, and it's such an affordable product. And everybody, you've used SurveyMonkey.
I've used SurveyMonkey many times, including when I was working for you.
Yeah,
this weekend.
I have been, and that was 5 years ago. I've been a fan of the product for years, and I put them on the list. This is a whitelisted advertising program. I make a list, Keith, I know you'll take any advertising on break.com. You guys are just, whatever it is, you'll take it. AK-47s, grenades, e-cigarettes. You have e-cigarettes, I'm sure, right?
And gambling.
Gambling and e-cigarettes.
It's not illegal in my states.
Hey, listen, break.coms are free for all, unlike this program. But on this program, we only do do things, but you actually use the e-cigarettes yourself personally. So actually you have the whitelist.
It's a whitelist.
Yeah, e-cigarettes, and you play blackjack online.
I thought yours was purely poker-based advertising thing, which is if you lose enough money, people spend it advertising on the site.
Exactly.
So you lose enough to give Goldberg any sponsors.
Exactly. That's basically it. And this has been a great product for me. And I said, put them on the list. This is like the top 20 programs I use on a regular basis, software as a service. And sure enough, they came in and sponsored the program. And they've been getting a great response from you guys, all the fans of the show. Go to try.surveymonkey.com/twist. And make sure you thank them on your Google+, your Twitter, your Facebook, all that stuff. They love it, love it, love it. Let's get to the news.
Sure. Well, I guess we'll start off talking about the Amazon Kindle Fire, because we have some here in the studio. Amazon's first true entry into the tablet marketplace arrived this week. The introduction to the $199 Kindle Fire. It adds color to the traditional Amazon Kindle e-reader, also offers the ability to store and stream music, TV shows, movies from the Amazon marketplace, making it the only non-Apple tablet on the market that comes with its own content ecosystem. The device launches with about 8,500 apps. It includes all the familiar ones like Netflix and Angry Birds and stuff like that. Most reviews were quick to point out that the Fire, though a step up from the previous generation of Kindles, not maybe a true competitor to the $500 iPad 2. Obviously, it's a less robust library of applications, smaller screen, less battery life. Some would say an inferior web browsing experience. Walt Mossberg's quote was, "The hardware is plain and clunky. It's a thick black box with zero style." In addition to the iPad 2, the Fire is also going to face competition from the Barnes & Noble second generation Nook tablet, which costs $249 and also came out this week. So do you think the lower price tag here is going to be enough to draw people who just want a consumption device? And is this going to be a significant competitor to the iPad 2?
Keith, you have it. You brought it with us. You've been using it for a couple of days. What do you think?
I think the primary user of this is a person who's using the Kindle right now and wants to upgrade. And to the extent that person was considering buying an iPad, it might cause them to delay that purchase because it does offer video. It's a bit clunky. Paige and I were playing with it, behind the scenes. And, it's a 5-step process to change the volume, he discovered. But if you're reading on the beach anyway and you wish you could do a little bit more and wish you could have had access to apps as well, it's definitely going to be a functional device.
So if you're on the beach, it's heavy enough for paddleball.
That was, I think, what Bezos was going for at the time, I believe.
Sure.
Yeah. I bought 4 of them for the price of one iPad. I mean, they're $1.99. I mean, $199, but they're basically $1.99. I mean, they're getting close to free. And I use Netflix on it. Mm-hmm. I surf the web on it. I started reading an ebook and I listened to an audiobook. All of them absolutely the same experience of using an iPad. In fact, I preferred, in a way, watching a movie in bed with it, because I was just watching a little bit of a movie and I said, this is actually nicer to hold than the iPad.
Well, it's lighter, right?
It's a little bit lighter, a little bit of a smaller form factor, and it feels like landscape by default.
Right.
And this is a serious competitor. Now, the apps on it have been, and people need to know this before they buy it, you're not getting an Android device. You're getting a crippled Android device. I tried to put the Dolphin browser on it, couldn't. I tried to put 20 different browsers on it, couldn't even find them in the store. And ironically, you type in Dolphin browser or the other great apps that are out there, Spotify, and it will put them in the autocorrect. So you're like, oh, okay. Then you hit it, and then it's no results. I'm like, well, okay, well, am I not connected to the internet? So then I'm trying to, then I try to find it. I go online. Nobody's really talking about this issue, but essentially, this is majorly anti-competitive. And I start researching it, and they've crippled the device. There are some ways to jailbreak it. And lo and behold, in the settings, and you remember this when I talked about jailbreaking iPhones back in the day, I always said, Steve Jobs should put a little button that says jailbreak my phone, allow third-party apps that are not approved, and then if you do that, your warranty is void.
Your warranty, yeah.
Guess what? It has it. Exactly
really?
as I
that exact feature?
Exactly as I described it 3 or 4 years ago. You go into settings, you say, I'll do third-party apps. You do that, it still doesn't let those things come up in the App Store. So then you have to go directly to Firefox's website, get the Aurora browser, find the direct link, and load it. I went to the Dolphin website. It linked to it. It loads the Android marketplace, and it doesn't come up. So they've really crippled it. It's a little heavy-handed, but this is going to be a revolutionary device. This will absolutely force.
Yeah, but whoever's thinking of buying that, the Kindle is not thinking of jailbreaking it as a general rule.
No, but they may want to load their own. They might want to load Spotify instead of using Amazon's
if
music
you know
service.
what Spotify is, you're gunning for either an iPad or
it's a fair point, but
Wait, bottom line, did you figure out how to adjust the volume on that device?
yes, you have to. Yes, you go to the settings in the top, and it's
So
there
isn't just a volume button.
No, it's
actually
a
really
huge
fun.
glaring oversight. I think they really wanted to get $199 so bad they left out Bluetooth, which would cost another $10.
Yeah.
They left out the volume control, which would have cost another $5. They just cut things to get to $199.
Like TVs in the 50s had a volume button.
It's a little bit strange. I don't agree with that decision. I would have paid $203,
Yeah.
or they could have lost the $3. They've got billions of dollars in the bank. But this is a game changer. Absolutely, mark my words, a massive game changer, because this is a viable coexister competitor to the iPad. Is it better? No. But if you're a kid or a college student or somebody who doesn't have let's face it, an iPad's really like $600, $700, $800 once you get one that can do, the network. This is worth it. I mean, this is incredible.
Most people are using their iPads just as a consumption device anyway, probably.
That's 2/3 of
most people are probably not using a ton of productivity apps
Bingo.
or using it to give presentations or whatever else.
And they put Skype on this or something like that. It's actually a big ass phone.
There's no camera or microphone, too, right?
That's the people who are going to be buying it. It's going to be the people who buy Kindles now. I mean, you go to a pool, go to a beach. That person is going to love it, and that's going to delay their purchase of the iPad. If you're a 15-year-old boy, you're going to get a Galaxy. You're going to figure out whatever the cheapest option is, and they will come out. Like those will come out, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to dominate the market for people who just don't care enough about what you and I and Paige care about.
And now they're just going to be able to download their shows.
And it's going to be meaningful for that. It's going to be super meaningful for that.
As a major Audible user, and I like ebooks, and I love shopping from Amazon, my prediction is that if you spend over $500 a year with Amazon, they're going to give this to you for free. Or if you spend $1,000 a year, they'll give it to you for free. And you know what? There's a lot of people spending over $1,000 a year on Amazon.
I bet that's right. I actually agree with that.
I mean, look at Amazon Prime. They're set to lose millions of dollars.
$70. Yeah. Right, $70, and
well, they have a whole new Prime program that analysts are saying they're going to throw away millions of dollars in like a massive customer loyalty program. Maybe that fits in with your idea.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon Prime, they should just make it $70 a year with a $199 device if you buy it for 3 years. Yeah,
I'd jump on
who
that.
doesn't exactly? And one of the wonderful things is when you buy the device, it comes with Netflix, not Netflix literally, but their version of Netflix. So I just immediately went on there and started looking through the Amazon movie store. Holy cow, there was plenty of movies, and it felt like a better selection than Netflix for free.
They have the benefit of, they have better deals than Netflix with a lot of the studios, so they can get newer content in than Netflix.
Shockingly great amount of content in their library for free as a Prime user. One thing I found disturbing was when I got it, it already had me logged in.
Yeah, absolutely. A little strange.
Very strange experience. I was like, wait a second, you put my credentials in there? And then, because I bought 4.
It's like when you opened it?
When I opened it, it was like, hey, Jason. And I was like, whoa. Auto logged in. I was like, well, wait a second. What if somebody pulls up all this, sex toys and porn and, Nazi stuff I've been buying? If you're some person who...
They sell Nazi stuff on Amazon?
Tons of Nazi stuff on Amazon. Yeah, Nazi porn, in fact.
No, they don't. Not on Apple.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
That's on Break.
Yeah, that's on break.com. All the Nazi porn you can eat. God, poor Break's getting a beating here. The other day, he's got the most successful company at the table, and he's getting crushed. We're all jealous. All we can do is, Anyway, amazing device, groundbreaking. It's going to outsell the iPad 2-to-1 in the next year. I'm absolutely certain of it. The device is delightful for consumption. And that's all people use these devices for. And when they get games working on there pretty well, this thing's going to replace the PSP and other things. Because now that he's got this in the market, he'll come up with a higher end one if it works. So if it works, and it clearly is, now Bezos is going to be emboldened. And you know what? I really think with Steve Jobs passing away, sadly, that Bezos might be the guy who becomes the most innovative guy in the industry.
I've read people saying that, in the last couple of weeks.
I mean, for my money, he is.
New,
Amazon EC2. Kindle, Amazon itself. I mean, he's really innovated in a major way. He might be emboldened, and I just read he's maybe thinking about doing a smartphone. Might we have an Amazon television? to compete with the Apple television?
Well,
Would you buy it?
We've got another story about another group that's planning on doing their own
Media is a
TV.
big loss leader for retail, right? Historically, media's
Sure.
been a big loss leader for
Walmart,
Target, all those guys. So it's absolutely,
Explain what that means to the audience who doesn't know what you're saying.
So they would subsidize the cost of DVDs and others.
Who would?
And CDs, the retailers. So Walmart would, Walmart would be paying Time Warner Brothers, Sony $13 for a movie and sell it to you for $11 because they know that once you go in the store, you're going to buy an extra $300 worth of stuff.
And going to Circuit City or Best Buy or something like that, they're going to have it for 13 or 14 because they have
It was
to make
also
some
how
money.
they crushed a lot of their independent competitors because an independent video store like the one where I used to work couldn't afford to beat Walmart's prices. It was literally they were selling it for less than we could pay.
Next story.
So we should talk about this one. It broke yesterday. Senior Zynga executive Owen Van Natta has resigned. Just weeks before the social game maker was expected to go public, he's going to remain a director at the company. And according to sources, he had said when he first joined in 2010, he was only planning on sticking around for a year or two. So another person familiar with the situation said Zynga chief executive Mark Pincus felt Van Natta, though highly valued, was no longer contributing to the day-to-day operations. So what do you make of this, especially so close to the big Zynga going public IPO?
Anyone?
I mean, it can't be a good thing. Who gives up what? He gave up 4 points by leaving early?
Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that high.
I think he gave up 4 points.
No.
Yeah, I think he
had
vested
16
2, and I think he had somewhere around...
nowhere near 4 points because I think they said he made 16 million or something.
By leaving before the IPO, the 41-year-old Mr. Van Natta is forfeiting potentially millions of dollars worth of unvested stock. He will take a little more than 2 million unvested stock options with him, leaving behind more than 4.6 million shares, according to the company's filing.
Wow. Well, we don't know what the shares are or whatever. But listen, Owen has never stayed at a company for more than 2 years, I don't think. He's a friend of mine. I'm good friends with Mark Pincus. People know that. Mark's an investor in Mahalo. I've known him for a decade. So I know both of the individuals. And when I saw that he was going to work there, I laughed and I said to him at a poker game, to Owen Van Natta, how long are you going to stay for? Are you going to make it through the year? And this was in November. And that's what he does. He comes in. He's an awesome deal maker, but he went in and out of Facebook, in and out of MySpace, in and out of. There was actually some playlist in between. Okay. I mean, this guy flips and he gets paid. And so more power to him. But I think he's like one of those guys who's really great at business development, setting up some deals, setting up some structure, but maybe not for the long term.
Mm-hmm. But by choice, do you think you, by choice, leave over 4 million shares of Zynga stock on the table?
I think it was probably like anything, a negotiation where Mark said, listen, we don't need you, and we're going to let you go, and you'll get nothing going forward, or we'll give you a little bit of that forward, we'll forward vest you some amount. And it's always a negotiation like that.
So it's not much of a negotiation. It's a door or the grave kind of.
It's a negotiation where one person has all the power.
Right.
And
so it's more dictation than negotiation.
Yeah, but I mean, the truth is, Mark is a good guy, and he doesn't.
It points out the issue of like, what do you do when you have people you bring on your team who have a large share of equity?
Yeah.
And how do you handle that situation when you realize they're no longer earning the equity that you had originally given them?
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing for founders.
I think it's very hard. Keith, you must have had this kind of thing happen without naming names or being, you must have given people big chunks of equity, had them not perform, or had the company appreciate in value so much. You've got a company that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. How do you deal with it?
Well, I mean, separate from that for a minute, I think going back to Owen, he's in a slightly different scenario than most everyone else. It's not like he's relying on these shares to make rent. I mean, he's made plenty of money everywhere he's been. Yeah. So it might just be a situation also where he just doesn't want to deal. If he might just not like Mark, they might not get along on a day-to-day basis, but stay friends and leave. I think. As Paige said, it's a really hard situation, and I don't think there's a way.
Plus one for deflection.
So let's go back to you. When you're in a situation like this, how do you handle it? Thank you, Paige. Thank you.
All week long.
Thank you, Paige. No, seriously. When you're personally in this situation, how do you deal with it as an entrepreneur? This is a show for entrepreneurs. They would love to hear from an expert like yourself how you yourself deal with the issue. Do you sit somebody down and talk to them?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge is it's oftentimes a friend, right? It's oftentimes people you've brought in at a senior level. So I think it's complicated not only because it's you're dealing with an employee. I think in that case it's a lot easier. I think when you're dealing with a personal friend, to be honest, it rarely ends well. And you usually have a point in the decision where either you're the bad guy, but you're doing it to protect the company, to protect the equity.
The other shareholders,
or
the other
you're a good
employees.
guy and you stay resentful, and that becomes a sticking point in the relationship. So,
Yeah.
in the cases where it's been done, I've handled it differently in different times throughout my life. And the only thing I could say is it's not usually resolved positively.
Yeah. I've had it happen, and I generally will either vest people up a certain period of time or not, and, depends on how long they've been at it, It's a difficult situation, I think, and, there's obviously dovetails. Are we going to talk about the larger Zynga story, or is there something to read about that, Lon, or are we just going to...
I can certainly
Or I can segue into it.
I can certainly
Let me segue.
find,
I'll just
what we're
segue
talking
into it,
about.
but I mean, this is the bigger issue, that there's been talks of people having Mark having the discussion with certain people, and we don't know all the truth of this, but it's obviously a couple of people who were asked to leave because their options became greater than the value they were providing. Isn't it part of the Silicon Valley dream that you're supposed to get disproportionately paid if you come in early and take the risk? So...
Pincus is now actually, he's denying reports that he's trying to bully employees into giving back stock options. He's saying they are just hearsay and innuendo.
Yeah, and we don't know all the situation. And Paige, I'm really interested, since BetterWorks is obviously involved in employee happiness and camaraderie and all these kind of things. What do you think of the situation?
I think...
Without having complete information.
So I've had to deal with it from funding companies, and internally, you have to look at your employee pool as a very scarce resource. And I just watched a founder go down, would have been funded, had the wrong people owning equity in his company. And looking at it as an investor, we realized there's not enough of an employee pool to take care of the people that you need to have on board to build this company.
So he had exhausted the option pool with
folks
people
who didn't actually, and we're projecting the future, saying, you know what, this is a problem that you're not going to be able to survive unless you get rid of these guys. So and that's the very early stage of it. The second stage of it is you will hire people, and maybe you give them... You have 2 or 3 or 4 amazing people who have maybe a total of 5 points in the company, and you start to realize a year, 2 years in, they are no longer earning that equity. And you have to tell employees that the reason you have a cliff and the reason you vest monthly thereafter is you may cap out in your ability to contribute to this company's success. And just like salary, we may wake up 2 years from now and realize you're not a fit for this company. That's why we have the monthly vesting.
It is the social contract because... It is at-will employment on both sides. Yeah. The employee could leave for greener pastures, so you don't really have...
That's why that 1 year cliff is there. Like you get that 1 year cliff. That's yours. You do a year, and you earned it. Everything after that is constant improvement, constant contribution to the success of a company.
And what the thing is, if you do this too often, and if you did it too unfairly, word would spread. You wouldn't be able to get employees.
Yeah.
But I do think that this stands out because we are living in a time when companies grow so quickly.
Yeah.
That they get to billions of dollars faster than anybody could ever have imagined. This is no longer the 7 to 10 years to $1 billion company. It's the 17 months to $1 billion company, the 3 years to $1 billion company. It's exacerbating the situation, isn't it?
I'll give this advice, and I've been very direct with my own senior employees who have equity. We grew very quickly this year. Yeah. There's been a lot of talk in the company about equity, and I have a very open discussion with folks who ask about, I would like to accelerate my vesting. I would like to get more, and I've had a very firm no, and it's not just about you, it's about the company. Right. And here's why we have to reserve this pool. It has nothing to do with you personally, but this is what you have to do. And if you go build your own company someday, you need to follow the same practice.
Right.
But when things like this happen, I think the other issue is, doesn't it undermine the entire, across the industry, the next time a startup is going to want to use stock options in lieu of salary, people are now going to have this on their radar that, well, but couldn't they strong arm this away from me at a later date? It's not as secure as a paycheck every couple weeks.
It's an excellent point, Lon, because again, the dream is that you will get disproportionately rewarded for your time.
People
and that you're
bust
taking
their ass 80 hours a week at a startup, and they're making not that much because they're thinking, well, if I grow this in 2 years into something huge, I get a huge payout.
It definitely could put that in the back of people's minds, and then people say, you know what, I would just rather get an extra $10,000, $20,000 a year instead of let it free roll on the equity. But if things are vesting every month and there's an open dialogue, as you can see, employees are not without power. 2 or 3 employees created this massive issue around this with the Wall Street Journal. It's not going away, and it will forever follow Pincus as he launches companies. So everybody will always have on their mind with Mark, am I going to get this equity or not? Is he going to fire me 2 years in? And he's really going to have to manage this issue, and I think he will. He's a smart guy. And the truth is, this might be just 2 or 3 people, And I have a feeling there's going to be 200 or 300 millionaires created in that company. So let's keep it in perspective. This might be, a half of a percent of this might be 0.1% of employees or 0.01% of employees that are being affected by this issue, which makes it seem like it's an employee-specific issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, if you ask people, like, would you like to have gotten in early on Zynga, most people probably say, yeah.
As a matter of fact, I was at dinner with him when he was talking about buying the poker company, and I could have angel invested in his company. He angel invested in mine. I didn't in his. I'm ready to kill myself. Oh, God. I wasn't an angel investor back then, yeah. Passing on Zynga and passing on MailChimp, that's why my sorry ass is here working so hard to make this weekend a success. And you know what? MailChimp is really making it easy for us to be successful. MailChimp, this is the two easiest reads of my career. MailChimp is a piece of software that manages your mail, your email list. Email lists are absolutely critical to building a business. I now have 1,000 people after tweeting who I said, do you have an iPad? Can I send you a free iPad app to get your feedback? Now, every time an iPad app comes out, I send 25 or 50 people on that list the app. They give me feedback. It's fantastic. And I couldn't have done that without the use of MailChimp. And now I'm going to take that list and I'm going to start sending my thoughts about iPads to those people. And boy, now I've got 1,000 iPad users and this great little mini focus group that I can use at any point in time. And I've done that throughout my career on email lists. And for the last 3 years, I've used exclusively MailChimp. The free plan is always free, 2,000 subscribers and 12,000 emails per month. I love the service. I use the service. You get my emails on the service. We even use it at This Weekend, thisweekend.com/email. Sign up for the shows. And in between each show, we send, hey, here's who's on the last show. Here's on the current show. A third of those people, and I've got maybe 1,000 people on the list, and we've only been doing it for 6 weeks. A third of those people, hundreds of people, dozens of people, depending on the link in the text, will click on it. That's dozens and dozens of people engaging your product that wouldn't have, because now you're in their email box. Email is absolutely critical. You have emails that break? Do you email big part of the business?
It's not. But I've used MailChimp actually in the past. It's a great product.
Oh, you've used it? Very cool.
Email is massive for us.
Massive for you guys.
Massive, because you sign up and your employees, we remind them every day perks. We do continuity programs, and we've been using MailChimp for the first year of the business. Yeah. It's been amazing. Easy
Absolutely
to use,
fantastic.
Great price point.
Great price point. The free plan is always free, and they're so confident in their service. Like any great product, it's pay-as-you-go, software as a service. And by the way, that's the way SurveyMonkey goes too. Any service that wants you to lock into a year or 2 year contract like those other jokesters in the email business, don't use them.
Do you have to be a primate-based company to get on your waitlist?
You can hire interns too.
I would do an ad for BetterWorks because we're going to use BetterWorks.
Better Monkey?
Yeah. I would use BetterMonkey. I wouldn't do Break, though. I would absolutely not. I'm not going to.
Monkey works.
Monkey works. Absolutely. Okay, let's do another story. Come on.
All right. So we were talking about departures. We'll keep on that same. We'll keep on that same theme. Big stories this week about dramatic executive departures from AOL. First up, Brad Garlinghouse, former Yahoo exec, was brought in back in 2009 to help revive the AOL brand. He's been serving as the applications and commerce head, so basically the head product guy. And he is now leaving. In the wake of the news, many people pointed to a November 6th tweet by Garlinghouse as giving a possible reason for his departure. It's a quote from Steve Jobs that was from the Walter Isaacson biography. When sales guys run the company, product guys don't matter so much, and a lot of them just turn off.
Paige, your experience?
I really question why you would go to AOL in the first place and run product.
But what about the Steve Jobs quote? If you have a sales guy in charge,
you can't have sales run the company. We let product and engineering run the company, and sales is a
Keith,
supporting
what is your
function.
take on that? You have a sales background or a product background? You're a product guy.
I have more of a product background.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think putting a sales guy in charge of a company is a recipe for success in the technology business in 2011?
No, you have product people most certainly involved, but you can't also run a business unless you got a sales-driven guy. It has to be a partnership with both. Let's be honest, because
of course,
Steve Jobs is a luxury
the sales guys will push you to a point where you're going to take on business that your product shouldn't support right now. They'll chase every dollar that comes at them.
Absolutely true. But you also can't figure out what your product should be unless you've got great sales guys in the field, understanding from your clients
nobody's saying
what the product needs are.
Salespeople aren't valuable, but I think the quote
that's why it has to be a partnership.
Is instructive in that should the top position ever be a salesperson? Bomber salesperson, Microsoft sideways for a decade.
It's such a hard thing to generalize. It's such a hard thing to generalize because there are plenty of great companies run by people with sales and marketing backgrounds, right?
So in the technology business, name one.
In the technology business, name.
Because I think technology is different than other industries, right? We are an innovation-driven culture. You're going up against Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, Sergey Brin.
Isn't Larry Ellison a sales? Isn't he originally on the sales side?
Yeah,
Mark Benioff.
Mark,
Mark,
sales guy. Yeah.
So. I mean,
I think what you point out is B2B. I think in B2B companies are very different from B2C companies.
So in enterprise, maybe this is interesting. A sales person might be great, but in a consumer-driven, more high-touch, you really need to have a product person who's not going to sacrifice the user experience for the dollar.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd be a good CEO in a B2C company. We're very B2B focused, but I think it's a very different mindset.
Yeah, David Sachs from Yammer,
totally.
very driven, good sales guy, a good operations guy.
but also a great product guy in David's case.
Yeah,
David is. I mean,
primarily
David's
a
got
great
both
product guy.
sides of it. Yeah, it seems like you need to have both. And I think probably what Brad is saying here is he actually, it's a no vote of confidence in Tim Armstrong. Tim Armstrong, very charismatic, seems to have done a great job recruiting, but has the product significantly improved? And is the product getting better and better? Would the company run better if Arianna Huffington was the CEO and Tim was the president?
I mean, what kind of crazy your AOL is? I mean, start at the very beginning. I mean, it doesn't seem like Arianna. It seems like Arianna's got a lot of issues in her overall management style to begin with, but she's undoubtedly built up a huge internet platform based on both her product and her editorial skills, right? So, but would they have been better off? I don't know. It might just be a disaster.
Might be
inevitable
just one of those
disaster.
things that's too hard to fix.
There's grumbling about like the AIM product, right? The update to AIM. You look at news. There's grumbling about all you get is the HuffPo news, and so AIM is no longer a communication tool. It's a force feeding their content to you.
Right. And this is when I was at AOL for a year after I sold my company to them, was a constant issue I had, which was they wanted to take the product and essentially use every ounce of user experience and force it to whatever the highest paying, highest RPM page was. And, it led to me having to defend all the blogs and say, you can't put these things on the blogs. You can't use the blogs in that way. Of course, I left and then they did that.
Which dovetails beautifully into the other two departures, TechCrunch CEO Heather Harde and TechCrunch editor Sarah Lacy, also both leaving.
Nice.
Yeah, well, Sarah, in truth, is a columnist. I think she's like a stringer. So like Paul Carr, that's not, although she's awesome and Paul Carr are both awesome to read, that will have little impact because they're one of 50 posts a day. Well, they're one of 300 posts a week. So I don't think the average user is going to miss them too. They actually will miss them, but it's not going to affect traffic or the overall brand that much.
More a case of perception that all these people are leaving.
If it's a slippery slope, within everyone leaves
24 hours.
Yeah, and then Heather leaving, she ran the business, and obviously I worked with her on the TechCrunch 50 conference for a couple of years. She's an awesome executive and a good entrepreneur now, and so I wouldn't see her staying anyway. And if I think she's very close with Mike Arrington. Like they have a very, very deep, interesting relationship. It's like oddly deep relationship. She's obviously going to go work for him at the Crunch Fund. There's no doubt in my mind she'll be at the Crunch Fund within weeks. There'll be an announcement.
We should ask him. Arrington's coming to town in like 2 weeks, right?
Well, I mean, he's supposedly coming to town, but my guess is he will cancel at the last minute with no notice. That's basically what he does. Jason Nazar was like,
Nazar's got to have a backup.
Nazar's like, hey, we're having dinner, and I'll come to have dinner with Mike, whatever. So I'll take a pass. But he's like, do you mind that I'm interviewing him? I'm like, why are you asking me? Do whatever you want. And he's like,
don't come on my show ever again.
Yeah, and that's it. You're blacklisted.
Just if you don't mind a lifetime This Week in Startups ban.
No, it's fine. But I said, you understand, Mike's not going to show up. I mean, he doesn't show up when he commits to speak at things. He's done it like a dozen times. Or he'll show up late, or he will insult everybody in the building brutally. Let's go to the next story.
Okay, so Congress has been holding hearings on the so-called Stop Online Piracy Act, or SOPA, presenting a somewhat radical change to the way copyrights are managed online. If the law passes, sites like Tumblr and Facebook could be shut down for letting users post whatever they want. The government can order service providers to block websites that infringe on links posted by, or with copyright infringing links posted by any users. So a number of companies like Google, Facebook, Zynga, Twitter took out an ad in the New York Times making the case that the bill threatens jobs, innovation, and the right to free expression online. A bunch of other companies like Mozilla and 4chan protested by censoring portions of their pages and directing users to contact Congress. Tumblr actually reported that its users were averaging 3.6 calls per second to Congress when they had their censored page up. If the bill should pass, it would become a felony with a potential 5-year sentence to stream a copyrighted work that costs more than $2,500 to license. Even if you're a totally non-commercial user, that could include even like singing a pop song on YouTube and then posting it to Facebook. The Protect IP Act, which is very similar, already introduced and approved by a subcommittee in the Senate. So do you think that there is a chance that this is actually going to pass, considering how sort of it breaks the internet, basically. And considering all of the money and influence behind companies like Google, why doesn't there seem to be a more powerful defense against the interests of big media conglomerates?
Keith, what is your thought? Because this would directly affect Break.com. I mean, you have people posting comments, videos, right? All kinds of rich media.
I mean, it's primarily stuff that we create or that users submit. It's we don't have a ton of other content, but I mean, in general, a law like that is impossible to police. I mean, at some point, whether you're knowingly doing it or accidentally doing it, everyone clicks on a link where you consume the media itself. It's not penalizing only the creator, it's penalizing the viewer. So if you're the average woman in Peoria and you follow a bunch of links, the odds are you're going to end up watching copyrighted content or pirated content at some point. Having said that, it's really important. I mean, we are in the content creation business. Yeah. We're in the content creation business. Protecting IP is extraordinarily valuable. This is just the wrong way to go about doing it.
It's so flawed. It's ridiculous. It's not going to pass, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't make a big stink about it. It will not pass. If it does pass, it's going to be literally, you think Occupy Wall Street is a movement? I guarantee you if this passes, it will supercharge the Occupy Wall Street movement, and because it will bring all the techies into it, and it will create literally protests of hundreds of thousands of people in the street. I know this sounds hyperbolic, but they're basically saying, we're going to hold car companies responsible if people commit crimes in cars. I mean, that's the stupidity of these people who are pursuing this legislation. Now, they're pursuing it for certainly real reasons. Intellectual property needs to be protected across the globe. There's a total disrespect of it. In the United States, though, we've got it under control. The guy who put Hulk or whatever online in New Jersey got years in prison, huge fines. People are getting arrested for breaking, for putting movies online. There are laws. You can just prosecute those individuals who break the law.
That's the biggest problem, too, this whole BS about you can actually shut down a site without the case going through. No law. So it's like this whole pre-crime division is going to say, we think you're breaking the law, and we shut you down. It's a threat to innovation.
And seize your website. I mean, this is already, we've seen websites just get straight out seized. I mean, where is the due process? This is overreaching. And look at the great job YouTube has done in turning it around. I was writing editorials like, hey, man, this business is just absolutely built off of people stealing content.
Yep.
And I was like, how could they let this go on? I mean, I understand the DMCA should exist, but certainly that business was built off of Lazy Sunday and other Saturday Night Live clips and Chappelle Show clips that at the time were not available on Comedy Central or NBC. Right. But they built tools. They listened to the content holders, the stakeholders, and said, here are the tools. You can claim the stolen stuff in the system and automatically put ads on it. So if somebody steals Chappelle's Show and makes a montage of the 17 best moments, you get to own their work. Free labor. And they went and they did that, and they love it. They can just go claim all the stolen stuff from the people, and those people don't lose their accounts, they just lose the revenue from it.
Right.
Brilliant. That's the kind of innovation we need. Those are the solutions. Chad Hurley, total genius in terms of, and his partners, in terms of what they built on that system to identify stuff. They looked for the watermarks, they looked for the video marks, and they actually figured out a way to balance these different interests.
More than anything else, I mean, the problem with a law like this, by the way, is that what we really need is just a fundamental rethinking of how media is distributed, how we pay for it, and that's going to happen in real time. And it just seems silly to put roadblocks in the way of what will ultimately be maybe a net positive for the media industry, which is us having access to content that we want and paying a premium for access to that content.
Is not the music industry making money hand over fist with iTunes? People still buy their CDs. You've got iTunes, Spotify, Turntable. I mean, everybody is going to them saying, I want a license. I want to give you money. I want to give you money. I want to create innovative products around your stuff.
Look at that. A company like Turntable, right? Their biggest threat is this whole, intellectual property issue.
Right.
And yet that is a service that could fundamentally change the way you discover and enjoy content.
And look at the big checks being written by people like Pandora, Spotify, Facebook, YouTube. They're all just pouring money over to the music industry. The music industry can just sit back and say, great. Here come the checks every month after month for their libraries. This problem is solving itself. The marketplace, Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, is always the best solution.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure the music companies are so thrilled about it, but I mean, again, that model was flawed. We were all buying $12 albums to get one song. That was going away in any event.
Right.
So they should really thank the tech companies are innovating ways for them to make money that they couldn't have otherwise.
Right.
But all it is the internet. What the internet does, it kills inefficient models, right?
Right.
That's the one lesson overall. So if you're in an inefficient market, if you are a middleman, internet's going to kill you. I mean, and as it should.
And Tower Records obviously was the middleman there. And the broken model was you love this one hit, you have to spend $15 to get it. Didn't make sense. Steve Jobs forced their hand, made it 99 cents, and now Pandora, Spotify, all those places you can get stuff. But those, don't you think that they can lower their overhead at the music industry and make these wildly profitable businesses?
I mean, that's a question, more of a question for Ian Rogers, right?
Right, I guess so. Let's listen to This Week in Music. Absolutely ridiculous, stupid, misguided, will not pass, but we still have to fight it. I'm going to write an editorial this weekend about it.
Another case, too, where we just can't seem to elect anybody who really understands technology. It's just these things happen because Congress is filled with these people who think it's a series of tubes.
Just keep them out. I mean, just keep the government out of it.
Yeah, the government is just totally incompetent, and we've seen that. And I had a dream the other night that Hillary Clinton, this is a little bit of a weird dream.
Okay, here we go.
Apple fetish?
No, but I had a dream that Hillary Clinton became president, and Michael Bloomberg was her vice president, and that we had the first lesbian female president because she also simultaneously came out of the closet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a weird. Where were you in all of this? You're
I
not
think
in
I
your
was
own
in
dream?
France, and I think I was eating a lot of French food. I was very rich, and I just had this crazy dream. But I do think if a Mike Bloomberg comes into office, and
yeah, looking less likely.
well, it would be interesting. It'd be the first lesbian female president. And the first, Michael Bloomberg is Jewish, right?
He is Jewish, and he would be the
vice
first.
I want Cuban to run.
Cuban would be awesome. But I mean, if they can't settle the NBA problems, I literally wrote an email to Mark today, and I was like, "Can you please fix this?" And then right as I was about to send it, I said, "You know what? I'm not going to send this because I was just thinking if I was him." What I need me, what I need Cat is busting my balls about this.
He's not inclined enough to
probably
try to
hitting the
fix it.
ceiling about Michael Jordan and the stupid Bobcats killing the season. Let's go on to the next story.
All right. Google took the fight directly to iTunes this week with the release of the Google Music Store, service that allows users to purchase songs directly through the Android market. Users can store up to 20,000 songs at Google Music labels, including Vivendi's SA, Universal Music Group, Sony Corp's Music Unit, and EMI. They're offering 13 million songs for individual sale. And, it's got a lot of the same iTunes features as well. Special exclusive content from bands like Coldplay that are available only on Google Music. And Coldplay, by the way, not available on Spotify. They don't allow their stuff on Spotify. Song prices range from free to $1.29 per song, and anyone can share a one-time full song preview to their followers on Google+. This one is interesting too, I think. Google also has plans to team up with individual artists. So for $25, anybody can set up their own music store within Google Music, and they'll earn a 7% revenue share of everything that they sell through their personal music store.
Why don't they make it a 10% revenue? They won't get 90%, but that's super innovative.
Yeah, that's the
Keith,
kind of interesting thing that was hidden in a lot of these articles.
Google a content company now? I mean, can we finally definitively say yes, it is? Can they? I mean, they deny it, but they're selling music. They're giving money in advance to YouTube creators. You were part of the YouTube program, I believe.
We didn't. But
you didn't apply.
But we're very familiar.
They did approach you.
We were in.
You
discussions.
declined?
We were in discussions with YouTube. But I mean, I think it speaks
But
for
why didn't you do the YouTube? Let's talk about the YouTube deal for a second. They were going to advance you millions of dollars, and you said no. Why?
Hold on a second. Because we have a large inherent sales force, so we're in a different spot. We have 25 sellers,
good reason.
so we're not we don't rely on them for monetization. But I think it really speaks to the fact of why is anyone buying music anymore anyway when you can stream it? And aren't we moving into a situation in 5 or 8 years where you can stream music? You can just pay $10 a month, and if you're a music lover, you should just do that.
I'm doing that already.
Yeah.
I don't.
So
use
is Google building a solution that was great in
Spotify's
2001, but isn't really great for 2012?
You got to think it's a very good point. $120 a year per user is a lot more than them buying 50 individual 99-cent tracks. Yeah. And it's consistent, reoccurring revenue. If 50 million households do that at $10 a month, that's only $500 million. That's not enough to make the music industry work, actually. They need a couple billion.
No, that's $6 billion.
No,
dude.
$6 billion.
$6
Sorry.
billion.
I was thinking about monthly. It's $500 million a month.
$6 billion.
Yeah, $6 billion is a lot. The music industry only makes like
and eventually
$2 or $3 billion a year.
Tap into some bill. It'll be on your internet bill or whatever it'll be, and that's where we'll all get. And so why is anyone paying 99 cents for a song now anyway? It just seems silly.
I have gotten to the point where I simply look for playlists on YouTube. YouTube, and I put YouTube on in the background. And then there are all these...
The poor man's Spotify.
I got to tell you, I walk around the office here at Mahalo, and I see people with YouTube on.
Well, that's actually one of the music industry's biggest complaints, if you talk to them, is that that is happening, and that's what pisses them off more than anything else.
But YouTube is paying them. YouTube pays licensing fees.
I think if it's on the backgrounds of those playlists, the fees are de minimis. It's only in the music videos and things like that they make these guaranteed CPMs that are meanful.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the YouTube relationship with you guys, because I'm really fascinated by the fact that you would pass on free money.
It's not free money, it's an advancement.
It's an advance. And you don't need it because you're so profitable.
Well, it's not. We have a sales force. If we can go and we can package content and advertising, I mean, that's effectively what YouTube is doing. They're providing liquidity into a marketplace that is fundamentally illiquid because there's lots of channels. They don't have sales forces. They cannot create content. YouTube's got a great sales force and a platform. So they paired them together. For people who have large sales forces that are in market, you don't need that liquidity. We can take a concept that we have and go get it sold in. Having said that, we're great YouTube partners. We're very committed.
But
we operate a number of YouTube channels.
A direct threat to you. They are now functioning as their own break.com.
Well, I mean, they're moving into the world of
what you
content
just
curation.
described is a publisher. You're saying curator, but in fact, they are in fact a publisher.
Well, then they're creating channels, and we are a channel.
Right.
So is it I view it the other way. I think that more people that get in and more people condition, and this is proven true as different platforms have emerged. We believe we're very good at creating and curating content. The more people that come to the web, come to your iPhone, come to an iPad to view content, we're going to benefit from that.
Right.
And if we didn't believe that, we have a bigger and more fundamental issue.
Right.
So
a rising tide lifts all boats, and
more
YouTube
importantly,
will not take...
They're educating the ad market of the value of web content in a way that individual...
Yeah, but what if they can deliver 50 million adult males, between these ages, and you can only deliver 15 or 30?
But they can do that today, right? I mean, but
if they've got a packaged channel, and then the content creators that you're going to get, it is a viable, it is a threat, no? You're so confident you don't see YouTube as a threat, what they're doing?
It's interesting because at the same time we have a huge YouTube presence. So, do I view it as a threat or an opportunity? everything on the web is a threat and an opportunity, right? That's the challenge. That's the challenge of all technology is you don't know.
Well said.
You don't know what to think.
Next story.
Check-in powerhouse Foursquare, long been thought of as a mobile-only experience, but now the company spent some real time reimagining Foursquare.com as a destination. The main Foursquare page for logged-in users now is a map of where you are, if you've allowed the site to, know your location, obviously, along with all sorts of local sites, businesses, and attractions featured in your area. The points of the map include locations where your friends have checked in, places that are overall popular on Foursquare, things that are similar to stuff you've already checked into regularly, so the site's getting smarter about knowing what to recommend to you, and locations with active deals. You can also zoom out, or you can check other neighborhoods if you're interested there. Notable as well as the info provided is time sensitive. So if I log in at 9 a.m., it's thinking, oh, Lon probably wants breakfast or brunch. If I go back at night, it's looking for dinner.
Look out, Yelp.
Right. So, have you guys tried it out? What do you think?
The booty call radar map.
That's called Grinder. Blender. Grinder and Blender.
They have that already.
But this is becoming a real business. Everybody said check-in was never going to be meaningful, but we all knew that was a feature, and it was up to them to make it into a product. And boy, have they!
Yeah. And is this? Are we looking at websites are going to become sort of sexy again? Everybody's been so focused on mobile and everything mobile.
Paige,
are things going to turn back to the web?
I think it's for them to step into making merchants pay. I think this is a huge step.
Yeah.
We've talked to Foursquare. I want to work with Foursquare.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing resource, and this is going to make the difference. They have that data that a merchant has no idea, and it's all that recurring service that's coming in board.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that data is just invaluable, and I'm not sure about the reemergence of the web, but this will make them an SEO powerhouse, and the web will be maybe half their traffic, and mobile will be half their traffic, or web will be a third, and mobile will be 2/3. But it's not going to cost them anything to maintain that web presence, and it will get them good SEO. People will discover it, but the answer is for their business, mobile is the future. The Zagat guide was pocket-sized for a reason. People need it when they're looking for a restaurant and they're not in front of a computer. Yelp, I've become a Yelp addict, and I'm writing a lot of reviews, and I've been checking in with Yelp a lot. And the whole experience has gone mobile. People take out their phone and now pick a hotel at 7 p.m. I was with one of the This Week in Startups fans who was at the London meetup last week, and he said, I'm going to go to Paris on the train with you guys. We took the channel. One of the super fans came with us. I said, where are you staying? What hotel? Can we drop you off? He's like, I don't have a hotel. I'm like, but you're staying over in Paris? He says, yeah, like 8 or 9 o'clock, I'll take out this German app that lets you get last minute deals at hotels, and then they bid for, €50 or €75, and you get like a $300 a night hotel room for that. I was like, you're kidding. Brave. Can you imagine people are going to cities not only without dinner reservations, but without hotel reservations?
That's how I travel all the time anyways.
You're a Marine.
I just make it up.
Sleep on park benches, man.
I have. I slept in New York City park bench.
Of course you did.
Westport.
Once you've slept in Afghanistan people
exactly.
shooting at you, what's a park bench? It's like luxury. It's like the Four Seasons.
We go to New York. I spent all my money drinking and partying.
Right.
I slept on a bench in one of those New York City parks all night long, freezing my ass off.
Yeah.
And was so happy that I didn't waste money on a hotel room.
It was Zuccotti Park, though. He also had a sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, what's your take on this Occupy Wall Street stuff, being a Marine and somebody who's proudly served the country and defended it, and you see these folks down there camped out and feeling very disenfranchised? A number of Marines actually, in fact, have gone. You sympathetic, apathetic, fascinated? What?
I would rather see those people go change the world. It's a reflection of a failed government on both sides of the table. I'm very apolitical. I think politicians are disconnected from what we need as business people, and this is a reflection. The political leaders have failed the country. I think bailing out big businesses was a massive, irresponsible action on the part of the Obama administration.
They should have let them fail.
Let them fail, put the money. Why don't we have a sovereign wealth fund in this country?
Right.
Invest in entrepreneurship, let entrepreneurship pick apart the carcass of the big car companies, the insurance companies, the banks. We as entrepreneurs will build the solutions for the future, not those companies.
Interesting. Very well said. Let's go on to the next news story. Lon.
So we were speaking of Yelp. We've got some big IPO news. Local review service Yelp has filed for a 2012 IPO. Could raise an estimated $100 million for the company's growth. Yelp IPO rumors have been bouncing around since the company rejected a $500 million acquisition offer from Google back in 2010. This IPO could value the company at between $1 and $2 billion. So far, Yelp's generated more than $58 million in revenue just in 2011, but it's still not profitable. Most of their current income comes from local and brand advertising, and some of it from services like Yelp Deals. According to the SEC filing, Yelp has 22 million reviews and 61 million monthly uniques, and over 500,000 businesses have registered their pages with the service. So how do you guys think Yelp is going to fare, and would you buy shares?
I would buy Yelp itself. I feel like it's Africa. It has so much resources, and it doesn't know what the hell to do with them.
What a great I agree. It's very well said, Paige. It's an amazing product, and I'm become friendly with Jeremy Stoppelman, the co-founder, and I trade emails with him a lot. And it is a very sophisticated social process. When you write a review, people can like it. They can encourage you to do more. Yeah. It's very well thought out. When you're in a restaurant and you check in, you can put tips, but you can't write a review. You can put in on the spot. You can write your reviewer notes, but you have to then go to your desk when you've cooled down and write it. And the community is vibrant. There are flaws to the system, like any open system, but it's a very powerful, underutilized resource, like Africa or Australia, and it could be huge. And now they're going to have this currency, which will allow them to buy, maybe not Foursquare, but certainly a Gowalla or other assets in the marketplace. Or when they go public, there's a good chance you could have people like Google or Microsoft or Yahoo or any other company that's worth more than $2 billion start thinking this is an acquisition candidate. Remember, people sometimes IPO in order to drive up the price of an eventual sale that occurs right before the IPO or right after. Keith, what are your thoughts? You're IPOing, obviously you're filing soon. You told me that before the show. You actually showed me the S1 right before the show. It's amazing.
Breaking news?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're breaking news. Break.com is
I think there's no such thing as an undervalued
joking.
digital media company. So that's my theory.
No such thing as an undervalued.
as an overvalued.
Overvalued,
yeah,
yes.
I mean, it's fine.
No, the possibilities are amazing.
I mean, Yelp should go at $10 billion, and it's
absolutely drag the rest of us along with them.
It's absolutely undervalued at $2 billion.
The crazy thing about Yelp, though, is like they've been stuck in this model where they depended on ad revenue, eyeballs, right? And I've talked to their biz dev. We wanted to start talking about what do you do past just that surface layer of a rating?
Yeah.
There's so much commerce that they can enable, and they've always been addicted to the eyeballs. After this IPO, they're not addicted to the ad traffic.
Why?
Because they have the money to invest in long-term plays. They're going to take 2 or 3 years to pay off for them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that does not describe what most typical public companies
no, most typical companies
do and how they behave. But
yeah.
I will say the one thing about Yelp which is interesting is we travel out and we've talked to general managers of hotels and they all love TripAdvisor and everyone encourages you to do it. And you do hear a lot of complaints from people listed on Yelp as to the unfairness of the system, as to the review process seems arbitrary. They bury a lot of reviews for no reason. They really don't have that worked out yet, as far as I can tell, just from my, where we eat and travel versus other guys in the market.
If those folks are complaining, though, the GMs of those establishments, I think the reason is because, and I've talked to people inside of Yelp about this, they track IPs, they track people coming in from those companies themselves and writing, astroturfed reviews of themselves. And when they see that, they neuter those and move them down.
Absolutely, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who you read more, and there's hundreds of reviews, and Yelp picks the 7 whose ratings they want to keep. And you just don't hear that from TripAdvisor. It's the same business, but you never hear it. It's just
well,
the
I think
algorithm is more.
TripAdvisor, they've allowed to be gamed to all hell. I mean, I would not trust TripAdvisor reviews.
Well, Yelp, it's the lack of transparency, I think, is what you hear from. There isn't, who knows why they're moving things up or down. They have just total blanket control.
It's very much a Google search model.
Right.
And perhaps they need to rethink it and say elite people go on the top and other people go below. Or
any formula. Like, here's how we're determining the order of the reviews, and it's open, you can verify.
Or how about a board of review? If they said, hey, we have these 10 people in the company.
Like a Yelp ombudsman,
Yeah, it's like an ombudsman, and they have one for each city or one for each region, and they look and say, these reviews are particularly well written and thought out, and we believe them, and we're going to feature them at the top. Like, the same way Tumblr has people who feature, certain things under tags. Like a little bit of curated, editor's choice, like the iTunes store.
Right.
And make that clear. Let's go to the next story.
Layer, we'll keep it on IPOs. Business Insider is reporting that, according to a source close to Facebook employees, an S1 filing could be coming very soon, even as early as next month, which would indicate that an IPO is, of course, in the works. The source said that the IPO talk within the company has ramped up in the past few weeks. Even from the very top, Mark Zuckerberg has told employees, supposedly, it's coming. BI also noted that Facebook will have to disclose its financials in April regardless, because it has surpassed the SEC's 500 shareholder limit. So though this doesn't guarantee an IPO, it does make the decision to move forward far more likely. Do you believe this rumor? Do you think IPO for Facebook is coming soon or very soon?
It's true. I know it is.
Oh, there you go.
I can confirm it.
That answers that one.
Sorry to shut down the discussion, but I was in the
right.
Valley, 2 months ago. I was at breakfast at a place. Guy came by me, he was an investment banker, started talking to me. He was on his way over to Facebook to pitch the IPO business, and this was 2 months ago. So absolutely, they've been, and you can quote me on that if you're a TechCrunch writer watching, or a launch writer watching. I was there just literally 2 months ago, banker of note from boutique investment bank, not the biggest ones, but the boutique ones, and they're going to use obviously a number of underwriters, was going in to pitch the team, and I totally screwed with him because he came in and he's like telling us, oh, yeah, we're going to pitch Zuckerberg and Sheryl, whenever, and he's got an iPad 1 in his hands. And they're wearing T-shirts that say, you're going to like this, or something like with the like button on. It was like, these bankers are idiots. Like they do all this stupid cheesy stuff. Like it's like a frat gig. Like we're going to go in and we're all going to wear the same T-shirts under our cheap suits or whatever. So I'm like, wow, that's super corny. Like number one, and showing up in your suits is kind of corny. Zuckerberg's going to be in flip-flops.
I want to know the banker. Which
I can't say.
Just the company, Oppenheimer.
I can't say.
Not Allen & Co.
Can't say. Definitely not Allen & Co.
Just the initials.
I can't say. But anyway, he's got the iPad 1. And he says, yeah, we're going to present it. And, he's got the presentation on his iPad. And I said, you're going to present it on that? And he says, what do you mean? And I said, you're going to walk into Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg with an iPad 1, not an iPad 2? I said, that just shows that you have no idea about technology. That's a piece of garbage. Like, I told him, I said,
hate those now.
I said, that is that is a total tell that you guys are just not tech savvy. And he looks at me and goes, are you serious, Jason? I said, I'm dead serious.
It's kind of true.
And he walks away.
Is that true? Do I need to throw away my iPad 1 now?
No, but I mean, you're not a banker. You're going to pitch Mark Zuckerberg.
That's true.
He walks away to go to his table. It's like, oh my God, I never thought of that. And he walks away, and the person goes, are you effing with him? And I said, of course I am. So he comes back, and he's like, where can we get an iPad 2? And I'm like,
it's the Apple Store.
Dude, I don't know, but I would not show up with that presentation on them. I mean, you got to solve this problem. There's an Apple Store. He says, I tried to get an iPad 2. It's sold out. Blah, blah, blah. It was great.
Some analysts lost their job because of Jason. Some poor analyst right out of college.
Oh, it's so classic. Okay, next story. Well, anyway, what do you think of the Facebook IPO? Guys, any thoughts on it? I mean, obviously they have to do it at some point. Now, timing is good now. I mean, before the riots and the zombie riots in Europe take place. I mean, we're obviously...
I mean, if I was a small business, I'd be getting my cars and furs and real estate ready.
Are you
massive buying behavior up there.
massive
buying. I mean, there's a lot of liquidity coming up there. I mean, you're selling homes and.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I thought you meant like go get a nuclear.
I mean, if you want to find an IPO that's coming up, I mean, just look at the number of like luxury vehicles being shipped into Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, just track that, right?
Yeah.
Like a Faircaster. Start the site, entrepreneurs that tracks luxury
how many
items being
Lamborghinis,
shipped
how
into
many
Silicon
Teslas
Valley.
into, would definitely be how is that going to affect the market for a very successful company like yours? You have bankers coming to you on a pretty regular basis saying it's time to IPO, yes?
Yeah, I mean, I think look, a rising tide lifts all ships all around. I mean, that's what we talked about, before, and I think it's great. And it's particularly great if they continue to perform. The only downside is if somebody misses a quarter, because a sinking ship sinks everybody with them as well. So,
well, is that true? I mean, we have seen some things like Demand Media get absolutely crushed. They're a content business. Does Demand Media's implosion impact Break.com's prospects negatively? Does AOL has sort of actually started to correct a little bit and show some promise. So what does the market think of content companies, I wonder?
I mean, look, I'm far from a banker, but I mean, intuitively, when things go well, everyone's feeling great, and when things don't go well, people don't feel great. So you see it, I think more than anything, you're an investor. You see it a lot when people start investing in social. They see one social company go well, all social valuations go up, and I think that's consistently true all around. So when people are feeling good and businesses are performing, they do great. I think in Demand's case, they actually have been performing. It's just a hard company for people to get a hold of, given the diversity of the businesses they own.
Is the problem that Demand Media is named Demand Media, not eHow? Like, is it just like it's this impersonal company-led, as a roll-up, and it doesn't have the sort of soulfulness that a Yahoo at its prime or a Google or a Facebook has? I always thought it was kind of odd that they're just this, you're Break.com for a reason, right? You're not like Gentleman's Media.
Right. I mean, the company is Break Media, but it still has a name in the title, right? I mean, it's
people can go somewhere and see it.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I think Demand's a good company. I mean, they continue to grow. They're hitting their quarters. So, I mean,
the fact is, you have almost the same amount of content revenue as they do.
Having not read their S1 either, I'm not entirely sure.
It's they probably have $80 million, I think, in content revenue, and then they have $100 million in the domain business, which is garbage or whatever, and that's just commodity business, like whatever. But I mean, you're on the level in terms of their content business, and certainly you have a much better value proposition in that you have a demographic. They have no demographic.
Yeah,
What's their demographic?
I'm not trying to go for +2 for deflection. It's just hard. I mean, I don't know how to compare myself. I'll say though, like generally speaking, like everyone wants the Facebook IPO to go well. Everyone wants the Yelp IPO to go well. Everyone wants to see guys like Zillow continue to perform as they have quarter after quarter, because it just speaks to the scalability of a digital business model. And if you look at the two comps in the marketplace right now, which are AOL and Yahoo, like all they're proving is that companies, when they get to a certain level, don't work. And so we need to see more businesses that do scale in the digital landscape.
Right, the Dropboxes of the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you need to see a new generation of people who aren't built on Web 1.0 platforms.
You are 100% confident, though, that the crop of companies today is awesome. I mean, you know the numbers.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
see it. These are very strong companies that will be here 10 and 20 years from now.
Absolutely.
These are not fly-by-night businesses like the last IPO crop. They're all going to outperform, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that outperform is, depends on what they're performing again. So I can't.
They're all going to be legitimate, strong businesses. Yes.
Right. And I think what's really going to help them, and I think everybody in the space, is if you think about how Yahoo grew through acquisitions, it was all these different tech platforms years ago. Think about now, if you wanted to build a media business, how easy it would be to acquire just Tumblr blogs, right? Or just WordPress properties. And the integration costs are practically nil, and you can build tech solutions that go across all of them. And so when we think of like the way the world is developing, technology is making it easier and easier to run these scalable businesses.
And that really is what AOL has sort of their premise. They bought My Company, Weblogs Inc., they bought TechCrunch, they bought Huffington Post. Hey, we have a common content platform, Blogsmith, the one we sold them. They also have the one on Huffington Post, which is built off of Drupal, I believe. Hey, plug these things in, and then they scale, and you've got a big conglomerate of brands that you can bring to Madison Avenue. In a way, what you're doing, wouldn't having a public stock as a content company make that so much easier?
Absolutely. Having liquidity will absolutely enable it. And then, like I said, the challenges for the guys in the market today are just a long history and a public perception.
And I want to get to you in a second, Paige. What are the decisions that a founder needs to make when deciding to stay private or go public when they hit that scale that which, they've got 25, 50, 75, 100 million in revenue and they could go public. What is the decision-making process for a CEO or a founder? Really a founder.
It's tough for me to speak broadly. I can tell you that, when we think about it, it's really, are you going to be able to consistently perform? Because you really don't want to be a public company in the first few years that misses their numbers. And, how confident are you in your continued growth without any hiccups in the short term? And to the extent that you have a fair amount of visibility, it's a great tool to continue to grow. And if you don't, then you don't want to be the guy who, has to get in the analyst call or, release the first bad earnings announcement, right?
So you need to be confident that this great, revenue growth year over year is going to continue.
And that you have a model that will continue to grow.
Yeah.
And grow.
That you'll live up to the promise.
Absolutely.
Right. And maybe a little bit of demand's problem was you had this half of the revenue was domain names, and that's really not a great business, certainly not innovative. And then they were an SEO-based business, not a Salesforce-driven business. Previously, they've since added a bunch of Salesforce and some original great content, but they were an SEO-driven business, and the premise that they could actually manipulate the Google search engine, to the end of time was wrong.
Yeah, you look at that, but they've performed. You look at their economics, and they've gotten better, and they're out there in the marketplace,
right,
putting packages together. But
it can't be pleasant to deal with that kind of.
Oh yeah, I can't. I don't talk to those guys, that often, but I can't believe it's emotionally very pleasing. Yeah.
Paige, any thoughts on the? You guys are far from it. You're a hot startup with a great valuation and a great team. But what are your thoughts on the IPO market? How does it impact a new company, an under 18-month-old company like yours?
It surprises me the number of bankers talking to us that would normally only talk to a Series D, Series C company. Right. So there's a lot of excitement out there.
You're a Series B company.
We are Series A.
Right. Tremendous Series A, but from what I understand, the Series B is going to be coming soon.
There might be a Series B.
I'm just telling you, frankly, people. I know that VCs are buzzing around. They want to get a piece of what you're doing. So the B, an opportunistic B could happen.
I'm always open to the right deal for the company.
Correct.
Obviously.
So, but you're, yes, absolutely. But,
right now?
Listen, if you're a hot company and you're a hot company, then the people are going to say, you know what, I'll pay a little bit extra to get in now and show Paige. This is what VCs think. If I'll show Paige that I'm willing to give him the increase in valuation before the company gets there, that I'm that confident in the team, and those VCs tend to win.
The thing is, our business is very easy to understand.
Yeah.
Our unit economics are amazing. 3-month, 4-month LTVs, a market that no one's ever tried to tackle. There are some big enterprise players, and a team that just kicks ass compared to most out there.
Yeah. Damn. And what you do is
$10?
Yep, $10. Yeah. In the old swear jar, which I think is now like $300. I'm going to buy 4 kegs. It's getting ridiculous. Can we go put this on black? I'm just going to go to Vegas and put this on black.
Can you put a Dwala jar there? Do you know Dwala?
No, what is that?
Des Moines 2 weeks ago.
What is Dwala?
I was speaking in Bloomington, Des Moines. I ran to a company called Dwala.
Yeah.
That has said, screw
I know this. It's
PayPal.
some kid who did this, right? It's like
Ben Milne, amazing, 8-person team in Des Moines, have said, screw credit cards. They built a whole new payment network. 2.5 years in the business, processing $350 million a year. New payment system, 25 cents for any transaction. Move $10,000, move $500. They take a quarter. So you should do a Dwala jar. These guys, killer. Bring them on.
That's it. We got to get. I read about those guys. So what you're saying is bankers are coming to a company that's years out from a possible.
I have bankers
IPO.
that want to run our Series B, and it's crazy the IPO frenzy. But our vision was we want to take this company public most likely.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I'm going to watch what other people go through and see how that
Good time
affects
to learn.
us.
Let's do a final news story here. We're an hour and 8 minutes in. These guys have to get back to their their kingdoms.
I'll give you a choice. We can talk about
Lightning round.
Microsoft's early stab at a social network. We can talk about the Justice Department prosecuting terms of service violators. We can talk about Sony's internet TV network or PayPal and Facebook joining forces.
Wow, all 4 of those stories are incredibly boring.
All right,
this has been a great episode of This Week in Startup. No, honestly, wait, Microsoft is starting a social network? That's the most bizarre.
The Verge revealed an early sneak peek of a stealth new social network Microsoft's working on. They're calling it Social, S-O-C-L. It was previously known as Tulip internally, apparently.
Yeah.
And it's an attempt to mix search, discovery, and a social network. So you do a search, you can save that search as a tag, and then do things with that tag, like that tag, post that tag, and then friends can come and enhance the tag page and comment on it.
Not really.
Now you know why Facebook's trying to go public now. They want to get out before
social. They're also
apart.
saying group video watching, so they want to integrate something like a Google Hangout or a Chill experience.
I got to say, Microsoft, people, it's such a long history that people have all kinds of different impressions of Microsoft, the Microsoft of the 80s, 90s, and the last decade. They have built some pretty compelling products in the last couple of years. I mean, the Windows 8 phone, I have one. It's pretty delightful. It's not my primary phone. iPhone is my primary phone. But then you also have Bing, which is a pretty amazing product. And I use it on my tablet as my default search engine. I cannot tell the difference with Google or Bing.
Bing Maps
except
is actually
in news.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Bing Maps is
Bing
ridiculous.
Maps, I think, is superior. Yeah.
Yes, and they have superior image search, superior video search, actually. Their news product is not as good, and I told them that, and they're working on it. And then, of course, the Xbox is the dominant, not only the dominant game system, but it's going to become the dominant, I think, entertainment media system.
Yep. Well, Xbox Live is pretty stellar.
Unbelievable. So when people, if you said Microsoft Social Network 5 years ago, like, that's funny. Now you say it, I say, well, what if it turns out like Bing, or what if it turns out like Xbox? Then you've got something. So don't count Microsoft and their huge wallet out.
And they can bring the paperclip back. I'm really excited to see the paperclip.
Absolutely.
I want the paperclip.
How about Bob?
I want that to be my first friend on their social network.
Microsoft Bob.
But it does speak to like the challenge of being a big company, which is, Xbox is in 14 million homes, I think, maybe even more, and that's just domestically. So if they could find a way to make that work together and build a social network based on the backs of that, and I don't know if those two groups talk to each other, but the likelihood is that organization they don't. So they have all these amazing assets. If somebody was just sitting there thinking, here's how we can Trojan horse our way into something, it very well might work. The problem is if all these groups remain separate, it's just hard to imagine things taking flight on their own.
I always want to see something more like a Yammer, like Microsoft releasing Yammer across all the Office products and gaming and productivity.
Absolutely. I think that was why they bought Skype, and I think Skype has a social network built into it. Obviously, you have your friends, I have my friends. We're all connected. They can boom do that. But here, we'll close on this. Here is Bob, the super innovative product by Microsoft. This is an interface to your life. Sounds crazy, but if you click on the money there, it's your then there's your Rolodex, there's your bank account, there's your calendar. This was an incredibly innovative product in its day called Bob by Microsoft, and it was supposed to be this new interface. And I believe it was Melinda Gates, before she was Melinda Gates, who worked on it.
If you could virtually walk around it and play a song, it's Shaker.
Oh, no. In a way, yes. It was, here we go. At one point, the project was managed by Melinda French, who was, at the time, Bill Gates' girlfriend.
It looked a little bit like
it was supposed to supplement program manager. Yeah. So instead of looking at all your programs one way, you would do this. Super interesting innovation, and there's a little piece of history for you children watching the program.
So not such a boring news story after all.
Not such a new, yes.
Can I throw a genius app idea out?
Yes. This app does what?
Do you guys have keys for your house?
Yeah.
Yes.
Physical keys? Does anyone think physical keys are going to go away in the next 5 years?
That's a good question. Go away? No.
So here's the thing. How much do you pay to have a key duplicated?
A key duplicated is
$4.
$4.
We sent our assistants, and it's anywhere from $4 to $9. What if I could take a photo of the key I need? You know where I'm going? Take a picture of the key.
Right.
Yeah.
Snap it. And a key gets sent to me.
I wonder if that's possible.
I think it is. So if you look
at
it,
it's basically card munch for keys.
So what they do is they line up the rollers.
It's physical, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably
Someone
possible.
please build a way.
That's actually
really
a pretty good idea. It's pretty dope, actually. But the more interesting thing is there is a new lock that you use your iPhone to open it, and you can give people the key.
That's really cool.
It's
like a QR code.
It's an iPhone lock
let's
for
talk about
doors.
the rest of the world that still uses old school keys and has smartphones. Okay, you can make $1 per key, right? Just make an app. Find one dude to make keys at like a penny,
it's card
5
munch.
cents.
It's card munch. Yeah. Lockatron. Unlock your door with your iPhone. Here it is. Boom.
But you have to get like hardware installed in your door to like recognize your phone.
You have it's a physical lock,
Yeah,
and then here, look at how sophisticated the interface is.
That's a genius project.
Lock, unlock. I don't know if Americans can figure this out,
Okay,
but
look,
pretty dope.
My cousins in Pittsburgh aren't going to buy that, but they need keys made all the time. I need keys made all the time.
But what's really impressive about Lockatron? No. What's more? No. Look. Here's Lockatron.
As long as you have the Microsoft toilet.
Here it is. With Lockatron, right? I'm not doing a commercial now, but I don't have this, but I remember reading about it. You lock and unlock this thing. I could be at work. The dog person could come in, and I could boop, 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 and I can give friends access with a text message.
That is kind of clever.
Look at this. Boom. I'm pasting this, quick URL, whatever. Hey, call this number. Boom, and you can unlock the door. Pretty amazing.
Perfect for the booty call.
Yeah, I don't want to come down. This is great. This is great for people who live in non-dormant buildings in New York and who get a late booty call. Normally, you throw the keys out the window from the third floor. You get you tired. You know, we all been there. Okay, this has been an amazing episode. Lon is actually still there. He's no, he's not actually. You got a girl.
I do.
She's still with you, huh?
She's still with me.
Man, she's a trooper.
We lived
Now
together
you're a
for
catch.
years now.
Strong.
3 years.
Is it 4 or 5 years?
3 years.
3 years. And I am
Not on the air.
And I am
Don't do this to
responsible
me
for this as
publicly.
well.
Yeah, well, we both worked at Mahalo.
There you go.
That's how we met.
Once again, proving that all good things in Lon's life have an origin in his relationship with
I
me.
owe it all to you, Jason.
No, you don't.
What would I do without you?
Not much, but you've done a great job. And congratulations on the success of Ranker.com.
Thank you, thank you.
The site is doing fantastic. Lots of new features being added. Highly recommend everybody check out Ranker.com. Please thank @Lons, Lons, for reading the news every week so diligently.
I do what I can.
Yeah, what a great guy. Hey, and Paige Craig, great to hear that BetterWorks is doing so well. Businesses now can make their employees more engaged through rewards, non-monetarily, with BetterWorks, and the employer retention and the happiness is extraordinary.
Yeah.
If people want to, this is the fee.
Break it down really simply. You can get employee perks for everyone in your company for a couple dollars a month.
Couple of
Gym
dollars a month.
memberships, catered meals, pet sitting.
Right. And you negotiate all those deals with the local businesses.
Yeah, and you can be the hero. You can sign up. You're done. All of your employees will build their own perks package. You can walk away and feel happy knowing that we'll take care of the rest for you.
I love that. Because you're always trying to figure out what they want. Then you got to send your HR person to go negotiate with the gym, and you just take all that out. And I can say, hey, give everybody $10, $100, $50 a month. They go spend it on whatever they want. Super genius idea. From what I hear from people who are using it, the feature they love most is that if people work past 7 o'clock, they can order food through the system.
Yeah, totally. Meals are huge. We have so much food going on.
But what's great about that is you sort of make the rule like, hey, you can order from any of the BetterWorks places. If you're here after 7, go. And then you've negotiated discounts with some of those places. And BetterWorks only costs a couple of dollars per employee per month, right?
Yes, correct.
Super affordable. What a great idea. I know why the VCs are knocking your door down. Keith Richman.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks for being on the program. The IPO coming. Break.com, fabulous success. Congratulations. If somebody was a great salesperson or developer, I know you're always hiring with a high growth startup like that. If they were truly superior and they emailed Keith at Break.com, would it go to you?
I think it's K. Richman.
K. Richman. So if you're a great,
So if you're working at Mahalo.
Yes, if you're an employee of Mahalo. We had a little beef at one point because we had a couple of Mahalo people, getting poached by the Break people. I'm like, listen, I'm not the training program for Break.com. I know that I get a lot out of people.
Now a current ranker person.
Who's that?
We had Mike Rhodes go.
Oh,
from
right, Mike Rhodes. He said he had.
Break to rank.
He was at the NFL.
He was at the NFL. Now he's our director of product over.
God, that guy changed his jobs like he changed his.
Let's get out your job hopper thing from
it is a little
few
job
years
hopper.
ago.
Yes.
Oh my God, with the
I
job
thought it was
hopping. He
gonna be
stayed
a
a job
new
for
game
18. I figured out how to get people to stay, actually. I figured out this incredibly new way to get people to stay for a longer period of time. Yeah, you raised their salary. Who knew?
Really? You discovered that?
Yeah, it's incredible.
We tried to introduce that to you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I just pitched that before.
No. I had a research. I went to the R&D department. I hired some McKinsey consultants, and they looked at everything, and they said, "Yeah, hey, dumbass."
Put on that.
Yeah, they said, "Hey, McKinsey guy said, hey, you know what? If you increase their salary every 6 months, 9 months, they may stick around a little bit longer." Hey, there you go. One thing that you're going to stick around with is SurveyMonkey. Hey, what a great product, MailChimp. Thank them, please thank them. And hey, 200 people are now on TWiST.co. That's the secret mailing list of 200 of the biggest fans of this program. If you want to support the program, give us $2 a month, $4 a month, $10 a month, whatever you want to give. You can be a broke-ass fan, but you get on this mailing list. And on the mailing list, we discuss the program, we discuss the guests, what we should talk about. It's a lot of fun, and people will send, hey, I have this idea for a business, and get 20 responses from This Week in Startups, dedicated samurai. It's an amazing experience. Go to TWiST.co and sign up. Thank you to the staff for doing a much better job this time with the live show. Very happy with the results. The sound was beautiful. Everything perfect. Little round of applause for the great This Week in Team. Flawless. That's what I'm looking for. Flawless performance. I demand perfection. No, I demand that it be 90%. 90%. You can't always be perfect, right, Lon?
We tried our best.
We tried our best.
We tried our best.
All right. Hey, we'll
got
see you all
close.
next time on This Week in Startups.